Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's DA.
All right, welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. DA with you. Thanks for being here. A reminder, all of our Permission Granted podcasts are available on multiple platforms. iTunes, so you can subscribe there completely free. SoundCloud, if you have that on your phone, it's a really cool interface. Very cool to use. We're there as well. We put them all on YouTube, also youtube.com/The DA Show. So a million ways to get your weekly fix of what we like to call the director's cut of The DA Show. All stuff you will not hear on the show, mostly. Coming up in a little bit, we will have Morash and Moralia, the Morash and Moralia Show. Steve-O, as you guys know him, running the board of the Wheels of Steel on The DA Show on a nightly basis. I think they're going to talk about how sick Moralia's been this week. Steve-O has been a disgrace, just a disgusting, snot-filled, mucus, fluid-ridden disgrace. So I think they're going to discuss that. I've been keeping a very healthy distance from him. He's not even allowed to come into the studio because he's just sniffling. He's a big pile of mucus, and it's grossing everybody out. But Morash has all those big antibodies built up over years of eating nacho cheese and giant pretzels and wings and stuff like that. So he's fine. A reminder also that we are every show is completely podcastable, full shows. If you missed the DA Show, if you used to listen to us in the old time slot overnights and now don't catch us live, you can always go to the same iTunes feed. We're all in the same iTunes feed. The easiest way to do it is to simply type in the DA Show CBS Sports, and it'll come up on iTunes. Same feed, full shows. Also, DA On Demand is at cbssportsradio.com. Official website of the radio station, just of the network. Just click on the DA Show tab, and then also you can catch that on SoundCloud as well. So I'm excited because we have on a soccer-related guest, and I know what you might be saying, oh, DA's doing this soccer bit again, but our next guest, she crosses boundaries because she's like a pop culture star in Canada as well. She was covering Toronto FC for the last couple of seasons, and now she's officially working for MLS here in New York City. But she has done everything from Canadian television. She's an actress. She kind of does everything, and she's got a huge following on YouTube, and she's just hysterical. So joining us here on the show is pop culture sensation, I would call her, Rachel Banetta. Rachel, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. The reason I say pop culture sensation is because you kind of have a little bit of everything going on, right? You have television host, actress, professional Netflix watcher as part of your bio on Twitter, and then
that's also on my resume too.
And you've worked for Toronto FC, and now you've got a new gig with MLS. So I didn't know exactly how to introduce you.
Well, you are the first person that I'm telling, so you should feel pretty good about that.
All right.
After 3 amazing years with Toronto FC, I love the fans so much. I love the environment at BMO Field. I am going to be moving to New York in 2 weeks, and I'm starting to work with MLSsoccer.com. So
this is awesome.
I've wanted to live in New York since I was a little girl. Legitimately, I made myself a contract when I was like 12 that I will live in New York by the time I am 21. I signed it, everything. So I'm 2 years late, but it's still a dream come true. So I'm pretty excited. Well,
would your younger self be proud that you accomplished it, or be beating you up a little bit, disappointed that you didn't make it by 21?
No, I think that she'd be freaking out right now. A little disappointed. Like, she'd be like, "What did you do with those 2 years? Why are you wasting your time?"
Yeah.
But no. I'm so happy.
Did you grow up around Toronto?
No. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I had like 43 acres in like a forest, literally like 2 hours outside of Toronto.
Okay,
I'm
so
very much a country girl.
Which way 2 hours?
East, like northeast.
All right, so 2 hours. Is that towards Ottawa?
I guess so, but a little bit north. So I don't know. It's somewhere in just like the bulk of Ontario forest.
Somewhere in the woods. You grew up somewhere in the woods.
Yeah.
All right. So did you grow up as a sports fan then? Because how'd you get connected with Toronto FC and the soccer side of things?
Well, I have 3 older brothers, and so I did a lot of sports when I grew up. I was a tomboy, still kind of am. And I went to school for broadcast journalism, and I actually won a contest.
Oh, yeah?
It was the Toronto FC Dream Job.
Okay.
And, I'd done the school thing. I knew what I was doing kind of thing. And I loved sports. I played soccer. I played hockey. I played rugby. I literally played every sport on the map. And I saw this. I was out of a job, literally applying for everything. I applied for it being like, oh, this is just going to be one more thing that I don't get added to the list. And I beat out 500 people for this job. And the past 3 years have just been a dream job. Exactly what it was called.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because you've built up a really kind of diehard fan base, and on YouTube, your videos get a ton of views. And what I love is when you were doing stuff. I guess it was for Kick TV through MLS, right? The videos for Kick TV. And
well, I started when I was at Toronto FC. It was like a year that had gone by, and I got an email from Kick TV being like, "Oh, we've seen some of your stuff, like." We would really like to work with you. How would you like to come to New York? And I had been in New York maybe like once before, and as I was saying before, I was obsessed with a city that I didn't even really know.
Right.
And so they brought me. I got to meet all the guys. I unfortunately had to meet Jimmy Conrad, and the rest is history.
So it's funny because Jimmy and I actually go back when he was playing for the Kansas City Wizards back in the early aughts to mid-aughts. I guess it's now about 10 years ago. I was working out in Kansas City, and I did a lot of stuff with the Wizards and MLS and stuff, so he came on my show a lot. And he's a hysterical dude. And so I knew him, and doing those videos, I was watching him. And then I'm like, oh, so now they got Rachel involved as well. And then kind of seeing the connection. And what I loved is that when people would send in like you to do reader or viewer email or questions, you kind of like completely monopolized all the questions. And Jimmy, you could tell, who is a total ham, and he can't stand not being the center of attention, was like, come on, why is nobody sending me questions?
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to move over a little bit since we're gonna be sharing the same city now. But no, he's still great. He made for the first time that I was there, I stayed there for a month, and he just made me feel so comfortable being in this new environment in this new city, and he's really great. I owe him a lot.
That's pretty cool. So you'll be doing a lot of stuff for that. So yeah. So what I loved is that also those viewer questions, you didn't just do soccer stuff. You would answer anything, and most of the questions started becoming a little pervy, wouldn't you say? It's right? I mean, hey, let's just start here. How many freaking marriage proposals did you get per week?
You know what? It was pretty funny the first couple weeks that I started on Kick TV. I think all the guys were kind of getting a good day out of reading all of those comments. But I mean, viewers, God bless them. They came up with some pretty good comments. Some that I care not to share, but a few were pretty creative enough for me to send them to my older brothers. So,
oh, yeah. Oh, great.
Love is love. I appreciated all of it.
I'm sure your 3 older brothers love seeing all that.
Oh, yes. Actually, they didn't watch it because I warned them to not look at the comments, but my mom and my aunt, and then I started seeing that they were commenting back like, you can't speak to her that way. And I was like, you guys just need to remove yourself from the comment section on Kick TV.
What I loved is one of the videos that you did, Canadian cliches, saying that these are the things that certainly Americans think about Canadians, and this is why they're not right. And you essentially ate an entire burrito covered by maple syrup.
What was so surprising is that was the best thing out of everything that I ate. I ate like broccoli covered in maple syrup, and I actually can't remember. That was like a year ago, but the burrito with cheese and maple syrup was actually something that I probably would have eaten again.
That sounds horrifyingly disgusting.
Yes, but you know what sparked that idea is when I first got to New York and started working with Kick TV, everyone was making fun of my accent and my love for like ketchup chips, which don't exist in the States, and the fact that I actually do say A quite often.
Right.
And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go home and just like attack these head on. but then they ended up being true. So it didn't really work out.
Discuss what exactly is ketchup chips?
Ketchup chips is like, I don't know, think of like a regular Lay's potato chip.
Okay.
And then it's like a ketchupy seasoning on it, but it's delicious.
Ooh, so it's kind of like
good.
French fries with ketchup on it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that because it's potatoes and ketchup, so that would make sense. But
Okay.
for some reason, they're so good. And also at our movie theaters, I don't know if you guys have this, but we have like popcorn seasoning and ketchup flavor, and that is all that I eat when I go to the movie theaters.
I've never heard of that. So ketchup-flavored popcorn.
Ketchup-flavored popcorn, ketchup-flavored chips. Canadians love it.
I did notice that you put maple syrup on popcorn as well in that bit, and I said, out of all the foods you chose popcorn.
Yeah, and not just popcorn, like Smart Food, so it already had cheese on it. Yeah,
Which
I don't know why.
Was very funny. So when you look at Americans, and now that you're living here in the States, or you will in New York City, what do you go, you guys don't get us because you don't realize this? What is the one thing that you're always aggravated because Americans think this about Canadians?
Okay.
What do you got?
What is it?
Yeah. What's the one thing?
That we always apologize. But you know what we do?
So then we're not wrong.
I will fully run into somebody on the street in New York because everyone's everywhere, and I will apologize. Or if somebody could run into me, and I will apologize for them. Like, oh, I'm sorry that you bumped into me.
Right.
For some reason, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that's necessarily wrong.
Yeah, so that wouldn't
Canadians
be incorrect.
Are generally pretty nice, and we apologize, and we're just overall great people. We have nothing wrong with it.
Of course. So basically, all of the cliches or all of the assumptions about Canadians are true then.
Maybe not the one that we live in an igloo.
Well, right.
I think that's the one maybe that. But you know what? There are people in Nunavut, people all over in the northern areas. I mean, I can't speak for them. Maybe they do. I have no idea.
let me ask you, do all Canadians, especially those in Toronto, do they love Drake? Is Drake like flying the flag of Canada?
You know what? You have either a super fan or the people that really, really dislike him.
Uh-huh.
I like his music. I mean, some people think he's a little bit sensitive, which I think is kind of funny. And you either have the people that are all for him, like, yes, go, he's Canadian. Started at Degrassi. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Like a little soap opera teenage drama show. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like, it's probably half and half. I would say.
Yeah, so that's what's interesting about Drake. I mean, at least from the outside, that he's part of Degrassi High, which is, as you said, it's kind of like a teen drama thing. And there was an American Degrassi High, I think, or maybe there's a Canadian Degrassi High, like back in the 80s.
I think it might have been Canadian, actually.
Okay, so this was the reboot. And he played a young man in a wheelchair, right?
He played a young man in a wheelchair, and I remember one of his shows. He had like busted his leg or something like that, and had to go behind. And then he came out in a wheelchair, and I think all of Canada just did a slow golf clap. Like, yes, this is wonderful.
That's right. So he goes from that to a pretty badass rapper. And if you listen to some of his lyrics, especially the ones with Nicki Minaj, my God, I mean, talk about making you blush and your three brothers. So
yeah, I know.
That's what's a little weird about kind of that transition. Like, how do you really take him seriously?
Oh, I think that's why people are talking right now. Like he speaks a different language when he's rapping, but then there's also like this sensitive side to him. So people are like, we don't understand. Are you gangster? Or are you a baby? Like, figure it out.
Right.
But you know what? At the end of it, he's from Canada. He's doing super well for himself. So I think that most Canadians are just super proud and like grateful that he's still like representing Toronto too. Like he's huge about Toronto and the area that he was from. So that's cool to see. I really like that about him.
He's repping the Raps hard, right? He is kind of like the public face of the Toronto Raptors in a lot of ways. And so I wanted to get your sense, for those of us here in the States, give us kind of the food chain of or the pie chart of how Toronto sports fan works. Where does Toronto FC fit into the mix? The Leafs, the Raps, and the Blue Jays.
Oh, man. You know, I got to do a lot of traveling since I've been involved in soccer, and I got to go to a couple different stadiums and see. I mean, everyone's got their amazing fan base and all that stuff in every single city, but like Toronto fans, no matter what sport it is, Blue Jay, like basketball, baseball, hockey, or soccer, they are just like so in love with whatever sport that they're watching, and they're so supportive for whatever player belongs to that team. I think it's just so amazing, especially with Toronto FC. Like, just these past 3 years, I mean, it's no secret that TFC didn't do that well in the standings, and it was a pretty rough time for all of these season seat holders and super big fans. But just the fact that they've like stuck around and they're still like sitting in their seats, like screaming at the top of their lungs for every single game, no matter what's happened, like that really like proves that they're loyal and really awesome for sticking it out and still wanting to be there every single game and pay for those tickets and be present and a part of something. You know what I mean? So I think that just like shows for itself that Toronto fans will go above and beyond for their team. And that was one of my favorite parts about being a part of TFC for this past 3 years, just the fans, like how much they truly, truly loved their team. It was really, really cool to see.
What's crazy is that there has not been a Canadian hockey team that has won the Stanley Cup since the Canadians back in '93. I mean, it's been over 20 years. What would a Stanley Cup mean to any Canadian city, let alone Toronto?
Oh, my gosh. Whatever city it is, it will shut down.
Yeah.
The city will shut down. I had an older friend that went to the World Series when the Blue Jays won, and they said when they were leaving the city, people were standing on top of their car. They could not move their car. Like, it was just the whole city. And I mean, when the Leafs were in the playoffs, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe not, maybe last year. We have this area in Toronto called the Maple Leaf Square. It's right by the Air Canada Centre where the Raptors and the Leafs play.
Yeah.
The entire square, there's also a giant jumbotron. So people that aren't actually in the ACC can come to this square and watch the game. So they don't have to like pay for tickets or anything like that. They can just like watch whatever's going on. When the Leafs were in the playoffs, I literally could not move. There was every single, you would see your friends, you would see your like friends' family, like everybody came and watched. If they weren't inside the ACC, they were outside watching the game. Like everyone is just, when we start having like, when we're starting on a roll, like people just show up and they just, like whatever team is there, like they just 100% represent and they love their teams.
Rachel Banetta joins us here on CBS Sports Radio. Who is it, the avatar that you have on your Twitter handle? There is a kid who is screaming in the back seat. Who is this?
That's little Rachel.
I was going to say, is that you?
That's me. That is me. That is a picture of one of my brothers from one of the many times that they've made me like throw up the rock on sign or made me walk into the kitchen and give my mom the middle finger. They would do these things to me, and I had no idea what it is. That's me as a kid, missing all my teeth, throwing up the rock on sign. That
is so amazing. Your brothers sound incredible. That's such a...
My brothers are very incredible. They're all a lot older than me, so it was really cool they're all like mentors in my life, so they're pretty great, although I will never forgive them for the things that they did to me as a child.
The picture itself kind of looks like an old Life commercial, Life cereal commercial, like Mikey likes it, you know, and in the back seat, Mikey's like eating Life cereal or getting really mad that he doesn't have Life cereal. That's pretty awesome.
It totally does. I wanted to change it. I really like that picture because I think it kind of like shows my personality. I'm a pretty big goof, although I do try and take life seriously sometimes, but think that when people go to my Twitter, they'll be like, yeah, that's totally Rachel.
What I also really like about your videos is that you seem to kind of not give a bleep. Like you will just say and do and dance and sing and do anything. And it seems like you have no filter nor any worry about having a filter, which you find very few people that will just kind of put themselves out there completely, all their personality.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that definitely being in sports, I mean, I'm not the traditional sports person, and I kind of love that. Because you turn on any sports channel, and if there is a woman, like it's pretty typical, like she's very serious and she loves sports and all this stuff. But I don't know, I just kind of wanted to be different, and I wanted to stand out, and I think that I've done a pretty good job at that. And it also just like proves that you can still be yourself and talk about sports. You know what I mean? Or whatever you're talking about on TV. Like I think that it's huge if you're on TV to just be yourself, because then people will look at you and be like, oh, she's a huge goof that no one can really take seriously, but she's made a really good name for herself and she's doing really well. So I don't know. I kind of like the way that things have turned out, and that I feel like I can go into a studio and whatever I'm shooting, I can still be goofy and laugh and not have to be too seriously, because life's short. You can't take yourself too seriously. Am I right?
Yeah, well, no question about it. And, boy, if you listen to this radio show, you know that we couldn't take ourselves too seriously because it's such an epic disaster on a nightly basis. But I do find it really cool that it doesn't feel like you put on any airs. Like, whatever it is, when the camera is on, that's kind of, it feels like that's what you would be doing in the backseat of the car with your three brothers.
Yes, 100%. I think if anything, like, I mean, I'm normally, when the cameras are off, I'm a pretty shy person, so I think when I first started, it was a great way to get myself out of my shell, whatever shell that I have. That shell's long gone now. But
right.
It was just a great way to just be like, you know what? I don't care what people think about me. I like the person that I am. I think I've been raised pretty well. So I don't think I have anything to hide, and that's exactly what I've been doing.
Is that the type of stuff you'll be doing for MLS and MLS soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they know what they're getting into when they hired me. So.
Yeah,
No,
you're not going to be doing button-up game recaps? That's not what's
No, they're really great guys and people over there, and I've known them for the past 2 years, just like being involved with Kick TV. So I am so excited to start. They put out so much cool content, so I'm cool to have my name associated with that. So it's going to be really great.
I know that you tweeted that you wanted to talk about life, love, and pickles. I think we've covered the first two. What do you want to say about pickles?
Okay. Insider information.
Yeah.
Don't share this with anybody else.
Okay.
My very first email, you know how everyone has like a pretty embarrassing first email?
Sure.
Mine was Pickle Queen and a certain number. I don't know. I think it was probably like 5. Pickle Queen 5.
Okay, let's hope it wasn't a double-digit number.
I love pickles so much. I have constantly 2 jars of pickles in my fridge at all times.
Oh, so what are your favorite? New York City is a great pickle. It's maybe the pickle capital of the United States. So tell what kind of, there's a lot of pickles around here. So what kind of pickles specifically do you like?
I don't really stray away from dill pickles, but if I have to, the sweet pickles that you sometimes like put on sandwiches?
Absolutely.
Oh, those are pretty delicious.
Okay, so this is interesting because you could get the Vlasic, or you can get the kinds that are in the jar that you can get at any supermarket, or you can get the ones that are kind of made homemade, and you kind of stick your hand in that big brine, that big barrel of brine. So which one do you prefer?
I think like sticking with like the jarred pickles from the grocery store.
All right.
I don't know if I want everyone's like hand juices on my pickles.
Well, you'll have to get used to that here in New York, because if you go to one of the great Jewish delis that we have around here, and they have these huge pickle barrels. It's not just like for the public to go bobbing for pickles with their mouths and faces. But you will have, kind of the store owners or the people that are working there to dunk their hands. They usually have gloves on to go get your pickles.
Well, I'll be going in the back to just make sure those gloves are on.
Okay, all right. So it's good to know that you're the pickle queen. I mean, that could have a lot of other connotations as you grow up, but I'm glad that you're still proud of that.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have shared that with you now that I'm thinking about it, now that I'm hearing it back.
All right.
No, but yeah.
Well, this is great. This is awesome that you're moving to New York and you're kind of moving on up and doing a lot of stuff for MLS. We have a lot of soccer fans that listen to the show, I know, and download our podcast or whatever, because I'm a big soccer fan myself. So this is very cool. I know we had a lot of support to get you here on the show and to do an interview with you. So you have a lot of fans out there. And now that you're going to be in the NYC, man, you'll have to drop by the studio. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks again for having me on. It's been a lot of fun talking about, my big brothers, my missing tooth, and pickles. Yeah,
well, what else is there to life, right? Rachel Banetta, follow her on Twitter at Rachel Banetta. You can follow her on YouTube as well. YouTube.com/is it 5 Rachel Banetta?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and you can email her picklequeen at
I don't think that's still like up and running. That's not really the one that I usually use.
You're not checking it anymore?
I mean, I'm sure it'll go somewhere.
Yeah, picklequeen6 at mlssoccer.net. Rachel, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, welcome to the producer side. Be the crossovers, we like to say around here. Morash going to join me here momentarily. Great stuff from Rachel Banetta, formerly of Toronto FC, and kind of a YouTube sensation, pop culture sensation. She's very popular. She's done a lot of TV stuff as well, and good for her moving into the MLS world. Morash joins me now. Rachel was great, huh?
I loved her. A lot of personality, spunky, funny. I'm not a pickle eater, so I couldn't side with her on that.
You don't like pickles at all?
Nothing at all. Like I have like this pyramid of foods I will not touch, believe it or not, and pickles, along with tuna fish, lead the pack.
That's very surprising. I like both of those, but pickles specifically. What don't you like about pickles?
You know what it is? I don't like the taste of them. I don't like that brininess. And there were certain foods I worked with as a sandwich artist, like tuna and like pickles, that working with them every day, something about them skeeved me out, and I will never endeavor again in the rest of my life.
Is that because at Subway they were made gross, or they were kept in a gross spot, or you just saw them every day so you got sick of it?
Saw them, the smell of them, the handling of them, with my gloves, and the wetness, the soppiness. Ugh, nothing. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Because, here in New York, I mean, the pickles are amazing. You could walk into any Jewish deli or there's places that are just devoted to pickles.
They're my wife's favorite food, and I hate them most. So it's unbelievable. I have a jar of pickles in my fridge every day. I stare at it. It just skeeves me out.
Have you ever done a pickleback shot?
No.
Okay, so in Brooklyn, this is a big deal. The hipsters love this. There's a lot of specials that bars have called a pickleback and a shot, or a shot of beer and whatever. But usually it's you get a shot of whiskey and then a shot of pickle juice. And the shot of pickle juice completely cuts through the whiskey, and it just goes down so smooth. So you usually do one after the other. It's kind of like a great chaser.
So basically, so you don't taste it, and you can do as many as you want and eventually fall down.
Yeah, correct. So it's like beer, shot, pickleback, or just pickleback in general, and it's pretty tasty.
See, I don't think I'd like that juicy pickle taste. I think that would ruin the whiskey for me.
You're not a pickle eater.
I'm not a pickle eater.
Pickle Queen 6 is what Rachel said her email address.
We all had those dumb emails, though, so I can't get on her for that.
No.
Just dumb. The AIM screen names. You used to go with the lowercase and capital, lowercase, letters. When you're a kid. You used to do such stupid stuff, so you can't kill her for that.
When was your first email address?
My first email address, we had the old AOL dial-up. I remember that specifically.
Okay.
Where you had to dial through the actual phone line.
Yeah.
My mom used to scream up the stairs that we had to sign off because she had to use the phone. Exactly. I believe my first one, and I still kind of have this AIM name to this day, Shockey for Prez 80.
You're kidding.
Because it was Shockey's rookie year. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Which is pretty stupid that it took me that long to even have a screen name.
Wow, so that's a long time because that you didn't have one because that's like 04 maybe he was a rookie?
No, I had probably 02.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
But yeah, I was only like 14, 15 by the time I had one. I was really deprived as a kid. I mean, there was a time I've told you this story where I got construction paper as one of my gifts for Christmas and I loved it. I think there was a down period there I didn't realize, but yeah. So I was a big Jeremy Shockey fan in his rookie year, and that became my first screen name.
Technology has moved at such a remarkably ridiculous pace that it's hard for me even to fathom what I did in high school because we had a home computer when I was probably a freshman or a sophomore in high school. That was our first computer. But we didn't really have the internet maybe until my sophomore or junior year in high school, and there was nothing on the internet. People forget, and I was high school class of 97. In 95, when I'm a sophomore, there's nothing really to do on the internet. Maybe you go to ESPN.com, a very rudimentary version.
Right.
But you're not doing anything on the internet.
No, you needed the computer to play Oregon Trail and hope you didn't, break an axis or an axle. An
axle, yes.
An axle and get some scurvy. That was what you did with the computer back then.
So I was on Nintendo or I was on Genesis or, for my entire childhood, we were always playing video games, me and my brother. But the internet wasn't a thing. Computer wasn't a thing. My cousin did have Commodore 64, which you had to put in a floppy disk. One of the official, it was floppy, right, to launch like Spy Hunter or something like that, or Donkey Kong or something like that, Qbert. But I really didn't. My first email address was when I was in college because
that's insane.
I didn't need one in high school. You didn't do anything over email by the time I graduated, and so fall of '97, I enroll at Syracuse, and they give everybody like an email address, and it's just
your name at Syracuse, whatever,
right, at syr.edu, and I'm like, what am I going to use this for? I don't even. And then you realize within like a calendar year, you had to have email, certainly for college, but then everybody had it.
It's crazy.
So then AOL IM comes through, and that's even before MySpace, and that now to think.
Yeah.
That's only 15 years ago.
I think back to 9 years ago, I'm in community college, and at that time, you needed one of those student email addresses just to even have a Facebook when Facebook first started.
Yeah.
Then before you knew it, the floodgates opened, and everybody who was 13 or any mom who was 45 had one. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I remember I was working in Kansas City at the time, and so this was probably 03 maybe, and one of my interns was like, have you heard of this new thing, Facebook? And I'm like, no.
New thing.
What is that? And they're like, it's like MySpace was better than MySpace. I said, well, why? And they said, well, it's only people at your school that are on it. So you can't be on it, DA, because you're not in school anymore. And I was like, oh, show me this. And I was like, I don't understand why this is better. I guess it's more exclusive. But then, like you said, they kind of removed that you had to have an email address connected to a school. And that's when kind of the floodgates open.
Right. Now you have all the moms playing Farmville, Candy Crush, sending you a million requests you don't want to get. And it's unbelievable.
And now think about how we broadcast this show. I mean, this is what's so different. I was thinking about when I was doing student radio, I was doing it for WAER 88.3 in Syracuse. And my parents couldn't stream it. It wasn't streamed on the internet.
Right.
So they could never hear me. I had to send cassette tapes home that they could listen to. Oh, you did this, you did that. You did an update, you did some play-by-play. I was just thinking how on our show, no matter what, anybody in the car at any time, anywhere, could listen to us live. And if I was going to school now, my parents wouldn't have to wait for a cassette tape to be sent home. they could just simply stream it on their phone anywhere they were
literally
live.
It could sit in the dashboard, hook a wire, and it could pump through your speakers, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can get the show and hear you.
Or just put it on a speaker on wherever you are walking. You could be hiking in the middle of the forest.
That's true.
Like
That's
where
true.
Rachel Banetta lives.
Literally.
Or where she grew up.
Exactly. The igloo.
Yeah. Before I let you go, I wanted to just get your thoughts on Tan in South Carolina yesterday. Just
Tan.
Loving your bacon wrapped shrimp recipe. You do the football food of the weeks every week. I've never heard anybody so excited to get your football food of the week.
It really it struck a chord with me. I would even say borderline motivated me to strive for better for the Super Bowl.
Rarely can you affect somebody's being that much, but he was so happy and enthusiastic and proud that he had made your food and he was now a hero in his home. And
not only with him, but with the dogs, too. I'm a dog lover, and for them to enjoy that juice over there, chow, as he put it, really pumped me up and motivated me. I'm very thankful. At least I know somebody out there is at least listening to me, which is nice.
But people don't realize that you actually got a lot of feedback on the football food of the week. People would tweet at you or email you all the time about this.
There would be times I would wake up in the middle of the night on a Saturday night, whatever, just to run to the bathroom and, simply check my phone. And all of a sudden I'd have 2 random tweets that came out in the middle of the night. Hey, man, got to get to the store first thing in the morning. What do I need to make this stuff? And it's crazy how many people are into it, but I'm glad people are cooking them.
All right, so Super Bowl week, we're going to kind of do a blowout of Mraz's favorite football food of the weeks, and then we're going to go through them all and kind of get you ready for your Super Bowl party. You ready for that? That's a big moment for you. That's kind of like your Super Bowl.
I'm pretty pumped up. This is my Super Bowl.
Yeah, literally, it is your Super Bowl.
Literally.
Okay. All right, so coming up next, Morash and Moralia discuss how disgusting Moralia's mucus has been over the last week or so. This is the Permission Granted podcast, available on iTunes, SoundCloud, and on YouTube.
All right, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast here. This is the executive producer of the DA show, Sean Morash, of course, joined by associate producer Steve Moralia. Steve, how are you?
I've had better days, better weeks, but I'm doing all right for the most part. I'm alive. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing okay, shockingly, because now that I've, we've gone full blown here a couple weeks and worked with each other, you've been hacking up a lung. You're sick as a dog here, and I don't know what to do about this. I worked with you yesterday's show for about 4 hours, tight room. Got to work with you again, and now I'm sitting here. You're not safe to be around. I don't know what's going on. You're like the monkey from the movie Outbreak.
I don't know. Berman's giving me a hard time in the newsroom asking if I have the HIV.
That's a typical Jay comment. So what's going on with you?
For Thanksgiving, I went down to North Carolina to see my godson.
Wait, how is this going back to Thanksgiving?
Well, because that's when I first got sick. My little cousin had a cold, and she was coughing and coughing and coughing, and I got it from her. Actually, on my way back, I really started feeling it. And since then, I haven't made a 100% recovery. I've gotten better and worse and better and worse.
So hold on. Whatever you have going on right now has been going on since Thanksgiving? Have you seen a doctor?
I have not. I'm one
what
of
do
those,
you mean you haven't seen a doctor?
I'm one of those anti-doctor people. I'm anti-medicine. I don't really like to do that stuff. So anyway, but let me finish. So I got better for the most part.
Okay.
But, still a little sniffle here and there. And I...
sniffle? Look, you can't even finish a sentence.
I had a little sniffle. Christmas, I was better. New Year's Eve came along. Boom. That's it. I have not been well since the beginning of the year, the first of the year. So we're going on 20 days now. Can you believe that? 20 days.
It's got to be more than 20 days. But
well,
either
20 days of really, not feeling well at all.
Either way, this isn't a good situation for the mothership. We don't have an infirmary. I know when dealing with DA, because we used to handle so all the time, Schwartz would be sick, I would be sick, Kenny would be sick.
DA won't come near me yesterday.
No, he will not. And he's the host, he's the star of the show. He cannot be getting sick.
No, I understand.
So he avoids at all costs. So now basically I'm in there, I have no hazmat suit, working next to you, doing this with you. I'm afraid I'm going to get sick now.
Listen,
if I get sick, you're going to be to blame.
I am. I'm probably to blame for everybody else getting sick in our newsroom right now, but I've got the hand sanitizer. I've got the Lysol wipes.
That's all
I've
white
got
noise.
Everything. I'm trying to drink as much fluids and antioxidants like we talked about last time.
This is an epidemic.
It's not good. I'll tell you that much. It's not good.
Ebola scared the crap out of this country, and now whatever you have is scaring the crap out of this newsroom, and I don't want it.
Bird flu, the swine flu, whatever the hell's out there.
I'm playing with fire. Well, despite being sick, did you happen to catch all the championship game action?
I caught most of it. When you're working, as you know,
right.
While games are going on, it's tough to see every play. But
right,
I did have the games on in the background while I was producing my shifts this weekend, yes.
Are you happy with the Super Bowl we have?
I am, actually. I like the fact, D.A. spoke about this last night. He didn't like the fact that the Patriots are in it again. I like that. I love it.
See, I don't mind it either. I'm getting a little tired of them, but I don't mind it because if the Colts were in this game versus Seattle, they would have got washed. I think at least we'll have a more competitive game than we had last year. We can't go through back-to-back blowouts in the Super Bowl.
No, not at all.
Brutal.
I mean, I like the fact that the Patriots are in it. I love dynasties in all sports, and Seattle is right there. I mean, they were there last year. They're here again this year. I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. And I think that you've got a great matchup with a quarterback in Russell Wilson who's just always won.
Right.
And Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I mean, they're the definition of winners.
Okay, I'm going to get to Russell Wilson in a sec. Let me ask you this. Obviously, everything the Packers could do wrong, they did wrong in that collapse. Pinpoint one moment, your one moment where you said the Packers lost this game. What is the worst moment that happened to them out of that?
It was the onside kick.
See,
Without
I agree.
the onside kick, that nothing happens. That onside kick, if the Packers recover that, that's it. The game is over. There's 2 minutes left in the game? Was it 2 minutes and 22 seconds, I think, that were left?
Yeah, it was about them. But no, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people want to cover up the fact that, well, if they did this, if Burnett didn't slide, if McCarthy was a little more aggressive with his play calling instead of doing those runs, then maybe it doesn't come down to the onside kick. Let's be honest, you just catch the onside kick and it's over. Let's stop making excuses like that wasn't the biggest reason they lost the game. It was the biggest reason out of all of the reasons that they lost that football game was because Bostic botched that onside kick. It's not that hard to put your hands on a ball like that. He let it clank off his helmet. It was a disaster. So
it looked awful. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it. I mean, that's sports. But I'll tell you another thing, Morash. I am a big fan of going for it when you're on the 1-inch yard line.
So early in the game, you're talking
early
about
in the game. You gotta go for. You can't settle for 3 there. I know.
I go. You take the points.
It doesn't matter. 3 points in the first quarter is nothing.
Every point adds up.
Who cares? 3 points in the first quarter is nothing. You gotta take the points there.
Well, you think the Packers would rather have those 3 points instead of throwing the pick that Aaron Rodgers did on that first drive?
Of course they
win
would.
the game.
But Russell Wilson for the first 3 quarters, the first 3.5 quarters of that game was lousy. He was awful.
Oh, now, I'm glad you brought up Russell Wilson, and I got to get into this. Russell Wilson was freaking garbage in that game, hot garbage. And little by little on this run, and even throughout parts of this year, he's starting to get exposed for the quarterback he is, and that's not a great quarterback. That defense and Marshawn Lynch carry him. And Ian Rappaport was on CBS Sports Radio with Jim Rome and discussed how the Seahawks, when they cleared out Harvin, are trying to do everything they can to make sure that Russell Wilson becomes the highest-paid quarterback in football. I don't know if that's going to match up with the salary Luck could get, but I understand the Seahawks got to do it because that's the way these quarterback prices are. They're inflating, but, man, they're going to be in trouble. So enjoy this Seahawks Super Bowl because if they give Russell Wilson that contract and pieces start having to come off that team and they have to go with younger guys, this Seahawks team is not going to be the same.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, Mraz, it's a coach and quarterback league, right? I mean, we've heard it time and time and time again. I like the Russell Wilson-Pete Carroll combination.
Well, they're going to the second Super Bowl here.
And you know what? It's worked. It's a winning formula. And you can say what you want to about their defense. Russell Wilson's put the team in position to win games. Their defense, of course, has as well. But Russell Wilson's put the team in position to win, just like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have done the same thing on the New England side. New England hasn't always had the best defenses. They've won.
Right, I know, but that's the thing. I don't think Russell Wilson is Tom Brady, where if they don't have... in
that system, I feel that they put Russell Wilson in the best spots to succeed.
But that's also because they have a great defense.
It is. But Pete Carroll does a great job at catering to his players, and I think that's a winning formula.
It's been a winning formula.
They've got it figured out. I'm not worried about the Seahawks. I think that they've got enough to succeed in this league for a while.
But look at New England. They are now on a decade chasing another Super Bowl, trying to win another Super Bowl. And they went through a lot of years where their defense stunk. And eventually something like that, if you give Russell Wilson, you go to him long term, is going to happen in that Seattle team. And I don't think Russell Wilson's good enough, like Tom Brady's been good enough, to get the Seahawks into the playoffs every year when everything revolves around him.
Well, maybe not every year, but I think that but that most years he'll be right there. I really think that they have the pieces. I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a champion.
I think he stinks.
Really?
I think he stinks, and I think he showed that on Sunday when he had to make plays.
I mean, come on.
He did everything.
You could have a bad game here and there.
As Steve Moralia coughs up a lung, we told you. The epidemic. You're dying
awful.
here.
Really bad.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
This is bad. This is really
Awful.
bad. We're going to have to sanitize this entire studio. But yeah, I think Russell Wilson did everything he could do to have the Seahawks lose that game. And he was very beneficial, and he made that big throw late. And he's being touted a hero in Seattle, and I just don't think he should be that. I think Russell Wilson was exposed in that football game, and I think the long-term future of the Seattle. Now, listen, if you win 2 Super Bowls, what the heck does it matter? You're going to take those 2 Super Bowls, and you'll hold them in your pocket for another 15 years before that shelf life probably runs dry.
Oh, without
So
question.
I guess in that standpoint, maybe it doesn't matter, but I just wouldn't expect this Seahawk team, I would say, going forward in the next 5 years or so, to be as dominant as they were this year and last year if you're going to give Russell Wilson a big-time contract and have him take up most of your salary cap.
All good things come to an end sometime. That's true. But, I mean, unless you're the New England Patriots, who seem to do it every single year, I don't think that Russell Wilson's going to be able to do that. But I do, like I said, I like what they've got going on in Seattle. And I like, I can find ways to, winning is all that matters in this league, right?
Right.
If you win, that's it. That's it in any sport. And listen, if the Seahawks can do that, if they can be a playoff team, 5 out of the next 7 years, that's fine. That's good enough.
I guess that's true.
Because once you get into the postseason, it's a crapshoot.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, Andy Dalton now is going to the Pro Bowl.
Boy.
Andy Dalton is going to the Pro Bowl. He's the 7th alternate. They got down to their 7th alternate. Are you going to watch the Pro Bowl? B, should they just stop having this Pro Bowl entirely when you get down to the fact that you have to have your 7th alternate at a position play?
I probably will not watch the Pro Bowl.
Okay.
And I think that with Andy Dalton being selected to the Pro Bowl, this could be the end.
It's that bad?
This could be the end.
The
writing's been on the wall now for a number of years.
I mean, do they even really have...
Andy Dalton,
here's
that's laughable.
I know they really do have first and second alternates because I've seen that come out before. Do they truthfully have a 7th alternate, or do they just get down to the point and they're like, all right, this guy can't go. Who's in that? Basically, do they have a phone log like, call Andy, maybe he's available?
I guess if you think about it, 7th on the depth chart they're down to.
How gross is that?
Oof.
And especially after what we just went through in the playoffs with Andy Dalton, where everybody's talking about him stinking, you'd think they'd want to hide Andy Dalton and go somewhere else with that.
To think players get incentive-laden deals for making the Pro Bowl.
Oh, Andy Dalton's going to the Pro Bowl.
And he's probably going to get paid for it. He probably has some stipulation in his contract saying
ridiculous.
If you make the Pro Bowl, and people get put into the Hall of Fame based on their Pro Bowl appearances. I mean, come on.
So 40% of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL were either asked or are playing in the Pro Bowl before they got to Andy Dalton.
Unbelievable.
That's a high percentage.
Yeah, you can't have that.
That's a real problem for the Pro Bowl.
This is not good. I mean, it's not good for the NFL, wanting to showcase an all-star game. I don't think the NFL even needs it. I mean, look, the NFL is good enough. We don't need an all-star lineup.
Other than the baseball all-star game, I can't stand any of them. The NBA stinks. The NHL one stinks.
Yeah.
Football stinks with the Pro Bowl. But when I was a kid, I was enamored with all of them. I loved them all. Now, I wonder if, those games were actually better back then, or it's just a kid thing. I'd love to honestly ask, the 10-year-old sports fan if they're into the Pro Bowl and the All-Star game. Because I don't know about you, I used to love it when I was a kid. I used to love them all.
I did too. I bet you if you ask a lot of 10-year-old kids right now, they're saying that they like the NBA All-Star game better.
That's just a dunk. I mean, those games are almost 200 to 200.
But I think that it's pure entertainment value. It's a quicker paced game.
See, even then, I used to love the skill competitions better. I remember that Vince Carter dunk contest and stuff like that. Football never really had a good one of those. Hockey was always kind of cool, but even those have drawn out.
Yeah, I liked the hockey. I liked the skills competition in the hockey game. Seeing people break the plates on the goals and.
See, I was really into all of that when I was younger. And I don't know if that's a passage with time thing. If when you're older, you're tired of it, you don't care, or whether they just stink now and they didn't back then. I honestly couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, I loved all the All-Star games. It was cool. It was fun. The worst part of the All-Star break in baseball and in hockey were the fact that you had to wait, a couple days to have more action.
The hockey one's ridiculous. Some of these teams have off a week.
Yeah, well, and I mean, especially when you're looking at the Olympics, when it's an Olympic year,
That's brutal.
You're waiting forever. You know, my biggest problem with a lot of these All-Star games is that it's become so market-driven that, you know, you need, you know, baseball to say this time it counts. And you've got the sponsors, and you've got Blake Griffin dunking over Kias, and he's making the final because, you know, they need to bring that car out onto the floor. You know, I mean, it's just that's what drives me nuts. Let the game be natural. Bring it back when it used to be. And that's why I'm so old school.
It is true. All right, well, Steve, here we go. 3 weeks in now. DA show. What is your favorite part of the DA show that you've noticed through 3 weeks, and what do you hate the most? It could be anything behind the scenes with us, could be anything on a personal level with any of us, or anything show-wise.
Boy.
Putting you on the spot. Favorite thing about the DA show, thing you hate the most?
What I love about the DA show are the quirky segments that we have.
Okay.
And I guess I shouldn't say quirky. I like the segment breakdowns that we have. I like a
nice organized show.
Yes, I'm a very detailed oriented person.
I can tell the way you tuck in your shirt into your pants. You're an organized guy.
Well,
you're not messy.
It's not a great example. It's untucked, but
I understand.
I like that. I like the structure.
Okay.
It makes everything flow very nicely, and we always know what to expect, and the audience knows what to expect. What I hate the most,
here we go, dun dun dun,
is the first 3 minutes of the show.
The first 3 minutes? That's where we capture the audience. You hate the first 3 minutes?
Well, I guess it's not the first 3 minutes of the actual show. It's of me setting the show up.
So you don't like setting the show up?
It's me running the instant replay in and setting everything
up.
The
instant replay is the machine that DA fires the drops on, so everybody knows.
And it's getting all the elements set up and ready to go, so that we're set.
So you're saying there's a lot of nervous moments before.
Not nervous, just I guess a little. The stress level goes up, and I don't like
stress level before the show. Is there anything I could do to make your stress level go down before the show?
You've got enough going on. I can't lean on you. No, not at all. I told you you're a hard worker. There's nothing.
The audience thinks I'm lazy. There's a lot of people on that audience.
I cannot imagine that the audience would think you're lazy.
Why not?
Well, I mean, actually, I guess they could if they saw a picture of you. However...
Well, they've seen plenty on the Facebook page.
Unfortunately, I've seen some of them, too.
Is there anything I have done in 3 weeks that has grossed you out yet?
No. I mean, you told me yesterday that you had awful gas.
I did have awful gas.
Fortunately, I can't smell anything, so I'm nothing yet.
And for those wondering, we really didn't get into this on the show as much as maybe we thought, but I ate like a pig for Championship Sunday. I had food on top of food. I tweeted out a picture of it at Morash CBS, little cheap plug there. But it got to the point where I was spreading buffalo chicken dip on top of fried raviolis. That's how gross I ate.
That's disgusting.
I kid you not.
Oh, my God. And you're telling me that you haven't fit into an XL since middle school. Now you know why.
Well, now I'm getting back into
it.
It was disgusting. Steve, I went home. I was with my wife. She's not going to listen to this anyway. But essentially, I got kicked out of bed at about 4 a.m. Sunday night and a Monday. Because, put it this way, we didn't need the heat on in the apartment.
I can't blame it.
It was a bad situation.
That's awful.
Even the dog.
That's disgusting.
The dog was giving me dirty looks, I should say.
Boy.
It was a bad scene. It's every combination of smell, and I'm sorry if I'm grossing anybody out. I had a bad situation, and I apologize to my intestines, my bathroom, my wife, everybody out there.
I hope you did a full-blown clean of that bathroom the next day.
There was a lot of spray and a lot of wet wipes used all over the place. A lot of disinfectants.
I don't know how you can do that to yourself.
I know you're the health nut.
I mean, no, not even. I mean, you have one of those episodes on the can, and I can't recover. I find myself sometimes disgusted to be a human being if I have a nasty episode.
What I love about what you just said was that you referred to it as the can, as if like this is 1940. Are people still calling the bathroom the can?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Interesting. Yeah, so that was really gross. But I'm glad I really haven't grossed you out, though.
I'm shocked.
Because I could be a gross human.
If I had what you had, I would probably still be in the bathroom right now from Sunday.
So you got some stomach issues going on yourself. You like to eat a lot of lettuce and kale.
I do. I have to. Yes, a lot of roughage to keep everything clean.
Interesting. So I think the reason you're not fat has nothing to do with being grossed out by fat people. I think you're fearful of what's going to happen to your body.
No, not well. Yeah, of course.
The inside of your body. I'm not talking about the way you look.
Well, all right.
The inside. You got a little fear there.
There is a little fear there. Dairy products are pretty much off the table for me.
Are you lactose intolerant?
Not lactose intolerant, just a sensitivity.
Okay. A minor lactose intolerant.
A minor. I'm telling you, Mraz, I'm gonna turn you on to this right here.
What is it? That has like balls in it. This drink that you're drinking.
This is a Synergy black chai tea kombucha is what it's called.
Kombucha. I'm not drinking anything.
And it's a kombucha tea. It's an ancient Chinese tea is what this is.
So that's agent.
And
so that tea is like 100 years old?
No, it's not.
The recipe is.
The recipe is.
Then they shouldn't call that agent. They should call the recipe agent.
Okay, fine. The recipe's ancient, and inside of it, the balls that Morash was referring to are actually chia seeds. And I'm telling you, Morash, if you have some of this, you'll cut down on the belly fat.
Is that right?
It is.
A belly fat cutter? What does it just make me full? Or it literally burns fat off my belly?
It does both. I mean, it's an energy. It's like energy for your body.
All right. You know what? I'm going to try that for a week. Does it counteract my shakes, though? Because I'm on a shake thing.
You should probably just drop the shake thing.
No, I can't.
Drop the shake thing because in those shakes are just a lot of stuff that you don't even know what you're drinking.
No, not the ones we're on. Not
Is
the
it
ones
all
I'm
natural?
On. All natural.
All right, well.
From Dream It, Do It, Keeney.
All right, well, listen, maybe that will be fine, but give this a shot. If you can get over the taste of it, it's an acquired taste.
Bad taste.
It's an acquired taste.
Anytime somebody says it's an acquired taste, it means it sucks.
No, I'm telling you, it's great. You'll like it.
Okay.
I'll bring you in a bottle on Friday.
All right. So we'll follow up with that probably next week. That's going to do it here for the Permission Granted podcast. Thanks as always for listening. You could follow me on Twitter at MorazCBS. You can't follow Steve because he's very weird and doesn't have Twitter. You can check out Facebook.com/The DA Show, YouTube.com/The DA Show. Check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, the whole deal, the whole kit and caboodle. That's it. We got a weekend coming up with no true NFL football. You got the Pro Bowl. Enjoy that. Take your wives, your girlfriends, or something to the mall. Geez, they put up with us enough in the fall and winter. And other than that, have a great weekend. Thanks for listening.